As the early 2000s unfolded like a fashion fever dream, the international runway witnessed a rebellion led by a circle of Eastern European models, armed with jawlines that could cut glass, gazes that could hypnotize, and a hefty dose of cheeky charisma. These models stormed the fashion fortress, leaving a trail of sequins and stardust in their wake. Let's dive into the glittering saga of the Eastern European wave, where traditional beauty standards packed their bags and took a temporary vacation. The early 2000s witnessed a departure from the traditional dominance of Western models in the fashion industry. Eastern European models, ethnically Slavs, brought a fresh and distinct look, characterized by striking features, unique bone structures, and an alluring aura that set them apart. The collapse of the Soviet Union in the 90s was like the grand opening of a stylish Pandora's box, unleashing a river of Slavic models onto the global catwalk. Hold tight as we discuss how the fall of the Iron Curtain not only marked a political seismic shift, but also catapulted Eastern European models onto the style throne. As the Iron Curtain crumbled, it wasn't just political ideologies that shifted. The fashion floodgates swung wide open, and out strutted a legion of Slavic stunners, ready to conquer the runways. With the Soviet Union's demise, the world got a front row seat to the untapped reservoir of beauty that Eastern Europe had been hiding. Suddenly, countries like Russia, Ukraine, Belarus, and Poland became hotbeds of modeling talent, as the world discovered a treasure trove of cheekbones, jawlines, and gazes that could stop traffic. As the Eastern European wave of models took the catwalk by storm, the parallel movement emerged, where dolls became more than playthings. They became embodiments of fashion dreams. A doll movement can be mostly attributed to the introduction of Gem Award, an Australian model. Although started by an Australian, it was perfected by the Slavic models. The synergy between the doll movement and the Eastern European model wave wasn't just a stroke of luck. It was a harmonious blend of two worlds where fashion met fantasy. From runway shows that echoed the precision and perfection of doll aesthetics to editorial spreads that blurred the lines between reality and make-believe. This era marked a time when dolls and divas waltzed hand in hand on the glossy pages of fashion history. By the mid-2000s, fashion was completely dominated by Eastern Europeans. The memo was clear: there is no fashion without the Slavs. It wasn't just the catwalks they occupied, but the entire spectrum of things, including sports. There's a funny article I came across dating back to 2009, where Serena Williams had this to say. During the early rounds of Wimbledon, the tennis ace Serena Williams wrote on her Twitter page that she didn't really recognize anyone with regard to her competitors. When asked in an interview to explain, she said, "Everyone is from Russia. Sometimes I think I'm from Russia too. I feel like, okay, all these new oblas, I think my name must be Williamsova." And the author continues, "By the third day of the haute couture season in Paris, I knew exactly how she felt as one high cheekbone blonde model after another shade down the runway began to get confused. Hadn't she just emerged? Was that the identical twin of the last girl, or her sister perhaps? In some shows, the models looked so strikingly similar, it was as if they were clones made in the same Siberian factory. There was also a sprinkling of super glamorous Brazilians, a few Poles, an American teenager, and one very important Brit. The star of the week, who clocked up more shows and more opening and closing outfits than anyone else, was the goofy, Moscow-born Sasha Pivovarova. Ever since her first modeling break, opening the Prada show in Milan in 2005, she has ushered in a new wave of elfin Eastern Europeans, many of whom look strikingly similar. This article shows us the relationship between the model and the consumer, which is far from ideal. The author herself probably unknowingly gestures how most of them are plastic mannequins by implying that they all look like clones made in the same Siberian factory. That was a tough reality that most models faced before the rise of social media. Unlike today's models, who can instantly voice their opinions and concerns to a global audience through a simple click, these girls navigated a world where the term social media was yet to be coined. Without the luxury of hashtags and instant connectivity, these models faced challenges and triumphs with a degree of solitude. The absence of a digital stage meant that their voices were confined to the conversations behind closed dressing room doors or hushed exchanges amidst the glamour of backstage chaos. As previously touched in my video about Vlada Roslikova, most of these models were scouted at a young age, and for them, the runway wasn't just a catwalk. It was a battleground where they had to fight tooth and nail to assert their individuality, their voices drowned out by the rustle of luxurious fabric. While the runway sparkle with make-believe elegance and glossy pages paint a picture of unattainable perfection, behind closed doors, the reality was not always as glamorous as it seemed. These runway rebels, scouted from the far reaches of Eastern Europe, faced challenges that transcended the dazzling lights of the fashion stage. Struggles for recognition, battles against stereotypes, and the absence of a digital platform to voice their concerns created a backstage narrative that was more complex and nuanced than the polished exterior suggested. However, as we stand on the brink of a new era, it's heartening to acknowledge that positive changes are underway. The whispers behind dressing room doors are evolving into powerful conversations that resonate with a global audience, thanks to the amplifying force of social media. While the fashion industry is adept at crafting illusions and narratives of make-believe glamour, it's refreshing to witness a shift towards transparency and authenticity. These Eastern European trailblazers, who once stood as living symbols of determination, are now part of a changing narrative where the stories behind the sequins and stilettos are becoming as vital as the runway spectacle itself.